fellow colleague. Please permit me to stand on the existing protocol. My MD sent this regard, Chief Dr. George N. Mogalu. He was unable to meet up, so he asked me to be here for him. And I'm going to read out his paperwork directly to avoid any error. A presentation on the challenge of keeping the internal waterways navigable all year round to serve as a consistent mode of transportation in the face of worsening climate change. This is the highlight. The introduction is all about Nigerian inland waterways, federal navigable waters, which is the internal waters of Nigeria, navigability of Nigerian inland waterways, challenges to keep Nigeria waterways navigable all year round. 2, effects/impacts of worsening climate change to navigation on the inland waterways. 3, effort by the authority to mitigate the challenges of navigability on the Nigerian inland waterways. And conclusion. Introduction. The Nigerian inland waterways. The Nigerian inland waterways, also known as the Federal Navigable Waters, are specified in the second schedule, section 5 of the NIWA Act, CAP, N47, Law of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004. The major ones are the River Niger and Benue, which constitute the major channels for inland navigation, which also include the intracoastal routes and numerous creeks in the Niger Delta area, etc. Inland waterways transportation. Generally, inland waterways transport is characterized by a high degree of reliability and safety compared to other transport modes. Inland waterways transportation is expected to be more sensitive to climate change aspect than other transport modes, e.g., in terms of water level fluctuations and resulting effect on cost and reliability. Climate change. Climate change refers to long-term shifts in temperatures and weather patterns. These shifts may be natural, such as through variations in the solar cycle or through the activities of humans, such as global warming. Navigability of Nigerian inland waterways. A waterways is navigable if such body of water, river, lagoon, creeks, canal, lake, is very deep, wide and calm enough for specific vessel to pass safely with few obstructions and encumbrances. Nigeria has a large expanse of waterway system acclaimed to be over 10,000 kilometers, but unfortunately, a little over 3,000 kilometers of these waterways are navigable all year round. 28 states of the 36 states can be accessed through the inland waterways. Nigeria can also link 5 of its neighboring countries, Benin Republic, Porto Novo, Equatorial Guinea, Cameroon, Chad, and the Niger Republic by water. Challenges to keep Nigerian waterways all year round navigable. Impediments to navigation is not just only blockage of channels by wrecks, depths, high saltation of riverbed, but the issue of insecurity is also major challenge. However, there is heavy infrastructural intervention requirement to make these waterways navigable. Dredging to remove silt and other impediments. Construction of river ports and jetties. Installations and maintenance of navigational aids such as buoys, lights, and marks. river training works, etc., are compulsory requirements for safe and secure navigability. Inland waterways transportation plays a very significant role in the movement of cargoes all over the world. It is considered to be a very efficient and in fact, the most cost-effective mode of transportation when movement of bulk haulage over a reasonable distance is considered. However, extreme weather conditions can significantly affect this mode, and this include flooding, drought, formation of iceberg, extreme weather condition due to climate changes can considerably reduce water level, and navigable draft becomes critically low, and therefore impose huge limitation to navigation. These are also just the wreck removal at Bayelsa. We've been doing that. NIWA has been doing that for a very long time. We are looking at the effects of climate change on inland waterways. Rising maximum temperatures, rising minimum temperatures, rising sea level, high ocean temperatures, heavy rainfall, shrinking glaciers, thwarting permafrost. Also, drought and desertification, flooding, iceberg, snow, infestation by water hyacinth/weed. We are looking at drought and desertification. Drought can significantly impact inland waterways navigation by reducing water level at which vessels are constrained to move with smaller loads and freights. After from low loads, there is also delay in time for navigation, as at low water level, vessels operate below capacity and low speed. Now this also is just a pictorial diagram showing you the draft level on a ship. Behind it, you just see the draft level and the gauges. Flooding. Extreme flooding due to high climate change erode the river banks and increases the siltation level of our riverbed. The bed of the river Niger is alluvial in nature and therefore very sensitive and collapse considerably with little impact like water waves or flooding. This causes excessive siltation on river channels and reduces the water level. Iceberg. Navigation in ice waters can be a real task for vessels. Detour from navigable routes will lead to additional fuel wastage, and this might also lead to damage of vessel. Snow. The impact of snow to navigation is not much pronounced though, but in some occasion it can affect global positioning system, the GPS, reading, and therefore reduce visibility to navigation. Infestation by water hyacinth/weed. I know most of us were in Lagos. Recently, we saw that happening, and the National Inland Waterways also have been making effort from Ikorodu. I think I'm part of that team that went there to ensure that those people couldn't, those boat water users cannot operate their engine. It was really causing trouble. So we were instructed by the MD himself that we ensure that that place has been cleared. And I thank God that we were able to carry that out effectively. Water hyacinth is a type of invasive floating plant found in water bodies across the world. This invasive species block the sunlight and oxygen level in water system, which result in damaging water quality. Water hyacinth make it hard for vessels to navigate along the waterways. The weeds can get stuck in the engines, which could cause engine faults. In certain weather conditions, The amount of water hyacinth that can be found in the waters can be a lot, and due to this, transportation of both cargoes and passengers become really slow and risky. To eradicate or control water hyacinth, a manual or mechanical method is applied. The mechanical method is employed by direct harvesting, cutting, and removing the plant using machines or manual removal by hands or hand tool. This is one of the locations where NIWA officials were really engaged also to remove it by hand, because then there was an imminent danger in that area. It's all about all those people using, all those locals using manual boats and all of that. So we had to go there immediately to ensure that we clear those paths, to ensure that that channel is navigable. The authority is intervening in specific areas to mitigate these challenges by taking the following projects: building and rehabilitation of more waterways support structures, channel management and enhancement of some navigation routes through laying of navigation boards, constant clearing of water hyacinth and other aquatic weeds, maintenance dredging of some channels to remove salt and increase draft, river training works, maintenance dredging of some channels to remove salt and increase draft, river training works and construction of shore protection walls, engagement and strategic partnership with both private and public sector stakeholders for investment on the sector, trainings, safety enlightenment and campaigns for stakeholders, canalization of navigable routes, installation of water level gauges and collation of such data. These are also one of the locations ongoing laying of buoys in inland waterways by NIWA. The first one we did was from Ikorodu to Marina, and we are still looking at to still install from Marina from Marina to Badagry, and also some other areas, because sometimes another indication to show if at all you are heading towards DI or you are heading towards Marina. All of this project is really ongoing. Also, this also effort of removing wrecks. This is sometime in 2019. This is our water harvesters. This is sometime, I think I was part of this project also, along Ikorodu and Langbasa area and all that. So this is what we call water harvesters. It also ensured to clear the water hyacinth on waterways. And this one is also called the swamp devil. We also employ this one too. What it does is to cut the weeds directly, and it goes into the water. It sinks the weed into the water. Conclusion: like any other mode of transportation, inland waterways navigation is not exempted or devoid from vagaries of worsening global climate change. The irregular fluctuation of water level, the unpredictable massive infestation of water hyacinth on the waterways, even in February, is a clear testimony of changing climate conditions. The impact of high drought, flooding, high temperature rise have seriously consequences to effective and smooth navigation on the waterways, and therefore need proactive measures to mitigate these challenges as they occur. The authority, as an agency saddled with the responsibility of ensuring safe and secure navigation on the Nigerian inland waterways, is not taking this for granted, and therefore working assiduously to ensure that basic infrastructures and necessary measures are put in place to make our waterways navigable in spite of other daunting challenges. Thank you.
We don't have those features in this part of the world. What we have are those other components where you were involved in, water hyacinths and these weeds. But sir, talking about iceberg and snow, unless we are anticipating that very soon, because of climate change, we begin to observe such features in this part of the world. Can you throw some light into these dark gray areas? How does iceberg and snow affect navigation in this part of the country? Thank you. Because everything we do, I think it's time we begin to domesticate. So how does those features affect navigation in this part of the country? Thank you.
Fuel and other, you're burning fuel and time. So that's also a challenge. So, and also the snow, it's not that, as you can see from my presentation, the snow itself is not a serious challenge apart from obscurity. Sometimes when the snow is intense and you have this obscurity, you cannot see farther ahead. And once you cannot see farther ahead, and you know when there is snow, also there must be iceberg, because at that time you have a lower temperature. So if you have the snow at the same time, your visibility is low, and you don't know if at all there is iceberg in front of you. Though with the help of boils and other device on the water channel can help you to navigate easily to avoid all those areas. But for now, since we don't have it, but these are the major ways other water agencies can come in as to play their part. When they have obscurity, they ensure that they install boils on those water channels. And also, when they have iceberg and whatever, they know that they have to take a longer route. So these are just the only challenges that they will be confronted.
Yeah, but even then, we don't see it as a challenge because there's icebreaker. So we have a ship that's called icebreaker, isn't it? So that's no more a challenge in contemporary world.
Sorry, talking about icebreakers.
Yes.
Then we're told of the Titanic. They didn't have the icebreaker.
No, they didn't have that time.
Okay.
And talking of Nigeria at present, we are looking at the challenges, climate changes we have in our inland waterways. So we are not having those challenges now. We are not having them now, but due to climate change, we might get to that point. So we need to beforehand. No. We always say God forbid, God forbid. We bring God into every situation. We need to be realistic. So we need to provide solution beforehand. So we need to have those things on ground. We need to look at them and say, okay, with the way the climate change is going, we might get to this point. So when we get there, is it when we get there that we'll start looking for solution, or we'll provide solution before we get there? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. So I have 2 questions. Maybe I'll just lend a voice on this same issue. I think the aspect that may affect us directly is the melting of those permafrost because of global warming. So they melt and eventually find their ways into the oceans, and they will rise in sea level, which will result in kickback, affecting, causing flooding into the rivers, that tidal rivers actually that lead to the oceans. It may take time before we see that significant effect, but she said something that is coming, and scientifically that's been proven. Okay, so now to my questions. The first one, the safety of navigation or navigability of waterways, much as is dependent on so many things that you've mentioned. There is also the issue of provision of navigational charts.
Provision of what?
Provision.
Navigational charts that the seafarers use to navigate, as well as provision of maritime safety information, so like the tidal information, information on navigational hazards, and so on. So I don't know to what extent is the agency addressing this issue, because I know currently there is no internal waterway in the country that has an existing navigational chart, apart from a few ones, the Kodo Channel that the Nigerian Navy Hydro Office produced recently, and of course the current bathymetric survey that's ongoing on the lower Niger River, from Lokoja to Butu. That one is yet to be ready. But does NIWA have any department that's undertaking this activity to produce charts for the inland waterways, as well as maybe maritime safety information? That's my first question. Then secondly, I was expecting probably you mentioned Lake Chad and its associated waterways. Currently, the problem of drying up of the lake and the waterways is it's an international problem which draws interest of not only the countries bordering the Lake Chad basin, but even European countries are showing a lot of interest in it because of the resultant effect of migrants that may occur if the lake dries up completely and people run out of food and so on, droughts and so on. I don't know whether if it's under jurisdiction of the NIWA or the River Basin Developments. Quickly, Mr. Saliu is here, probably will help us out. So, I don't know, is it under NIWA? Is there anything being done about it? Or
according to the law of the Federation that I just read out, all lakes and river creeks within the country belongs to, is controlled by the authority, NIWA. So I want to say yes. Since it's a lake, is also within the jurisdiction of NIWA. And we have, to your other question, we have a department. We have the survey department, and headed by GM. And in that regard, recently they are looking into all these charts. They are looking at gauges, whereby they will be able to get the history of the water level and all of that. So that we can keep it for proper documentation and all. So I want to believe also all what you've just listed now is what they are looking at as we speak, because it is a great challenge, and NIWA is rising up to it. So I want to believe that they are looking into that.
To buttress what my colleague here have said concerning the safety of the waterways and the provision of internal waterways chart. Just as I said, we have the survey department, and with the upcoming e-channel of NIWA, because we are trying to bring everything together. So with the e-channel and everything, they are coming up with an e-chart that can be accessible by everybody. You don't have to come to the agency or to request. Once you log on online and Google, you'll be able to get the e-chart. Then concerning the Lake Chad, yes, all lake and rivers within Nigeria is under the jurisdiction of NIWA. But anything outside Nigeria is out of our jurisdiction. So I think the Lake Chad that is drying off should be addressed by the river basin. Thank you.
My question is about the water essence you mentioned when I came in. I am from the Riverian area, and hyacinth have been a problem for our locals in terms of doing the local business around. But yours is a research institution. But the question I want to base is, what is your institution doing about research to know the other benefits of these water hyacinths, so that we should not be looking at them as blockage of our standards, rather than seeing them also as a blessing, just like what the other speaker talked about, sea cucumber, how they call it, sea cucumber. So once, so the question I want to ask, what is the institution doing in regard of that, to know the benefits of those water hyacinths? I think in my layman approach, those water hyacinths will have other alternative use, just as maybe in the medicine and other ways. That's the question I want to ask.
Thank you, sir. We have a department called RPE. This RPE department is headed by GM as well. It's an environmental department whereby they look into that. And recently they've been looking into that. They've been taking research. While we are not really out to really say what the research is all about, is because we want to ensure that this research will be able to bring a change in what we have. We know that water hyacinth, other research that is ongoing, that it can also be converted into energy, bioenergy and all of that. So we have been looking at that. So the GM is yet to come up with anything tangible as regard that. That's why I think I want to believe the MD do not put it in the report. But I want to believe as soon as their research, they conclude their research and they know that it's going to bring profit to the people and not too much, they said, how they call it, is it pound foolish or little foolish or pound? Little penny-wise, pound foolish. So we don't want to put in too much energy and have a little result. So we are looking for a way whereby we put in little energy with the maximum result. So by the time the department, the GM in the lab department will be able to get out with that research, then we will be able to tell the world that yes, it can be used or converted for energy. Thank you.
I wanted to throw more light on the conflict that usually exists between the states and the NEWA in terms of the area of jurisdictions. I think there have been a case between the Lagos Channel Management and NEWA. How do you resolve that? And my state too, the state claim ownership of some certain areas, if you're talking about the inland water. Then the second one, the federal government spends so much money to open up Niger Channel. And up to now, nothing is said about the channel. Billions have been spent. So I want to have more light on that, throw more light on that. Thank you.
To your first question, actually, we go with the federal government. We don't see the state as a challenge. We only see them as a body whereby they try to contribute in the water security and all that. But as for the federal government, we don't view them as a challenge. And as I just read to you, according to the law of the federation, from the country, NEWA is the only recognizable authority as regards water within Nigeria, inland water within Nigeria. NEWA is the only recognized entity. So any other entity is not recognized. But like you said, the federal government wouldn't they will not even have a fight or whatever with the state. So we only view the state as people who wants to contribute in terms of inland water safety. That's my view towards that. And the other question, I think, did I still hold that?
the dredging of the.
Okay, yes, the Niger Delta. Well, actually, my boss will have a full information about that. But the little knowledge I have about that dredging of that river, from my own knowledge, you know, when you see the river Niger and Benue, the only challenge that is visible there is that it is wide and it's having a low draft. And maybe, I don't know, but there is a lot of challenge when you have a when you have a wider river and a low draft. So that is also a challenge. But however, my boss will be able to say more on that. But that is the only view I have as regards that issue.
Federal government. According to the Act, the NUA Act, it says that all waters that start and end within a state, all waters that has the origin and the ending within a state can be controlled, regulated by the state. But any water that cuts across states is under the regulation of NUA. So if it cuts across the states, it's under the regulation of NUA. But if it starts and ends in the state, so I don't know if there's any water that starts and ends in the state, that is under the regulation of the state. But any water that cuts across the states is under the regulation of NUA. But despite this, NUA is working in synergy with the states so that we can have a good, at least to serve the people. Just as you have said, we are not seeing states as competitors, but we are seeing them as support to achieve our own purpose. Thank you. Then concerning the River Niger, I think he has said it's beyond us to say that it's left to our bosses. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we still have any question? Let us give our presenter a very loud round of applause. It's also a resources. In fact, I've seen on ad on CNN sometimes that some people are eating it in some countries. So it has its own nutritious value. It's food in some places. And apart from that, too, one of the participants mentioned the fact that it's also a very, very valuable resources for generating power as biomass. So just like the water over is quite a massive resources that would not be tapped, water has into something that can also be transformed into money, into resources that will be valuable to humanity. So we've come to the end of today's program. I want to really thank everybody. I want us to even give ourselves a round of applause for taking the time to relax, and then that we had a wonderful presentation and interactive moments today. Tomorrow is going to be another day.